There is something uniquely terrifying about the moments between sleep and waking, that fragile space where the mind is vulnerable and the body feels paralyzed. For some people, what happens in those moments goes far beyond a bad dream. These are 3 accounts from real people who experienced something deeply unsettling while they slept, encounters they could not explain away with logic or science. The first account comes from a woman named Rachel, living alone in a rented house in rural Ohio. She had been in the home for about 3 months when the disturbances began. At first, it was small things. A cold draft near her bedroom door, the faint sound of footsteps in the hallway. She dismissed it all. Then one night, she woke up at exactly 2 in the morning, for no apparent reason. She described feeling a pressure on her chest, not painful, but heavy and deliberate, as though something was sitting on her. When her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she saw a tall, dark figure standing at the foot of her bed. It had no visible features, no face, no hands, just a solid, human-shaped mass of darkness that seemed to absorb the light around it. She tried to scream, but could not make a sound. She tried to move, but her body refused to respond. The figure stood there for what felt like several minutes before slowly dissolving into the shadows. When she finally regained control of her body, she turned on every light in the house and did not sleep again that night. She later learned from a neighbor that the previous tenant had reported identical experiences in the same bedroom. The second account involves a man named Daniel, a college student who had recently moved into an off-campus apartment. He was a self-described skeptic, someone who had never believed in anything paranormal. That changed one semester when he began waking up in the early hours of the morning to the sound of his name being called. Not shouted, not whispered, spoken in a calm, clear voice that seemed to come from directly beside his ear. The first few times, he assumed it was a dream, but the experiences became more frequent and more disturbing. One night, he woke to the voice and felt a hand grip his shoulder firmly. He spun around to find no one there. His roommate was asleep in the next room and had not moved. He set up a basic audio recorder on his nightstand and captured something that still unsettles him to this day. On the recording, in the silence of the room at 3 in the morning, a voice clearly says his name, followed by a low, rhythmic breathing sound that does not match his own. He moved out of the apartment within 2 weeks and has never fully returned to his previous skepticism. The third account is perhaps the most disturbing because of how long it lasted. A woman named Sylvia began experiencing nighttime visitations at the age of 9 and continued having them well into her adult life. She described a recurring figure, an elderly woman in dark clothing who would appear at her bedside, lean close to her face, and stare at her without speaking. As a child, Sylvia believed it was a nightmare. But as she grew older and the figure continued appearing in different homes, different cities, and even different countries, when she traveled, she began to understand that this was something else entirely. The figure never spoke, never touched her, but its presence filled the room with an overwhelming sense of dread. Sylvia eventually consulted a paranormal researcher who told her that what she was describing matched accounts from hundreds of other people across different cultures. A silent watcher that appears during sleep, observed but never fully understood. Whether these experiences represent something supernatural or something buried deep within human consciousness, they share one undeniable truth. For the people who lived them, they were absolutely real.